See, we were on here and crazy. Hey everyone, this is the Team Relentless call that we are doing for the very first time via Periscope. I've always wanted to do this on Periscope, but I've never had the privilege of having my guest speaker sitting right beside me. Usually they're somewhere across the United States. So this is my friend Brent Sager. He has this whole lineup of just awesomeness that I knew that I would butcher if I didn't read it. So he is a certified strength and conditioning specialist through the NSCA, and he's now a new Labrada, is that right? Nutrition sponsored athlete. He just sealed this weekend, so I'm really proud of him. He's been working as a personal trainer and nutritionist for almost a decade. He graduated from Texas A&M, which is right down the road from us, with degrees in nutrition with a specialization in dietetics and kinesiology. I can never say that word. With a specialization in applied exercise physiology. As part of his kinesiology degree requirements, he interned with the strength and conditioning staff at the University of Houston under assistant strength coach Dale Jones. While there, he worked with the baseball, softball, track and field, swimming, and girls basketball teams. He has most notably helped people reach their goals in playing professional baseball, running track professionally, competing in the Olympics, competing in physique competitions, and posing for Playboy. Brent has also trained people from just about every walk of life, starting at age 6 up to 82 years of age. He's currently a national level bodybuilder, having competed since 2004. So anyways, usually for all of my team that are on this call tonight, you know that I ask people from within the Team Beachbody community to speak on our call. But I thought that I've had so many conversations with Brent over the last year and a half, and he's really helped me stay on track, and he really gives a different perspective. So I asked him to speak on the call, so I'm really happy to have him here. One thing that we've always talked about is that our lives are completely different. He grew up in a different had a totally different childhood, and he always wanted to be active. I was always lazy. He has obviously amazing degrees from Texas A&M. I never went to college, or I actually went for part of a quarter and dropped out and then got pregnant. So obviously we have different walks of life, but what we do have in common is that no matter what happens to us, we keep going and we keep moving forward, and we want to help other people achieve their goals through health and fitness, and we both have a passion for it, and that's what has brought us together as friends. We disagree a lot of the time, but overall we both help a lot of people, and I thought that he could give everybody on the call a little feedback about how to stay on track, how to stay focused on yourself and your goals, because we're ending 2015, and I know the last 2 years for myself, they haven't ended exactly the way I wanted. And, you know, he's helped me a lot get back on track and been a really good friend. And I know that some of you who are on this call may be looking at the calendar and thinking that 2015 isn't ending so well, but you can turn it around and make the best of this year. And I want you to start 2016 on, you know, a way better note than maybe you feel like you're ending it. And if you're anyone out there who's looking to compete or looking to get into bodybuilding, he is got tons of information and knowledge, and I'm sure he'd be happy to help you. So Brent, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about what got you into the health and fitness industry.
All right. Really, my entire life I've worked towards something. When I was, I think, 5 years old, I started watching football, and I didn't watch football like a normal person. I watched it like it was game film. And I pretty much studied it with the idea that somehow I was undersized throughout my most of my life, or I guess most of my adolescent life. And somehow I thought I was going to end up in the NFL. So I've always had these goals that if someone had sat me down probably weren't bordered on being realistic goals. But I thought that if I gave everything I had, that you know, why not me? Why not somebody has to make it? And throughout my life, the things that I've tried to do, I wasn't necessarily successful, but a lot of those things segued into things that I did end up being successful at. I wanted to be good at football. I wasn't so good at football. I ended up being, due to the training of football, I ended up being good at track. I also ended up having a foundation that then prepared me to be a bodybuilder, and I am better at that than I was at track and was at football. As far as how I got started, and really, I guess this is somewhat applicable to a lot of you, is that I was at a crossroads really when I was in high school, or when I was graduating high school, as to what I wanted to do, if I wanted to continue to run track, or if I wanted to be my own coach, I guess. And I didn't really like the way that some of the coaches had handled me to a certain extent. And so I decided, instead of having to prove myself again, as I had done throughout my athletic career in high school and everything like that, that I would be my own coach. And from there, I decided to formulate a plan. I knew that I had not been successful in gaining a whole lot of weight, and I needed to gain a lot of weight for bodybuilding. And so I came up with a plan, and I wasn't 100% sure the plan was going to work. It was one of those things where I'm going to give it everything I had. That I knew I wasn't doing 100%. And when I work with a lot of people, a lot of times they say, I don't feel like I am getting the results that I think that I should. And I ask them, how close to 100% do you believe that you're working? And they'll say, well, I'm not working at 100%, maybe 70%, but I just would expect to have gotten more results than I have. So I don't work with people that say, I'm working at 100%, there's no stone unturned, and I'm not getting any results. So it's very rare that somebody's given everything they have. But that was my idea, is that when I looked at it, I thought, what am I not doing? There are things that I know to do. And let's try those, and let's see what happens. And if I don't gain any weight, and I stay here, then I'll have given it a shot. And I'll know that this isn't for me, and I'll end up doing something else. As far as the degrees that I chose, I decided really to pick degrees that were going to help me in my journey to becoming a bodybuilder. So it wasn't about money or anything like that. I didn't really have that figured out as far as how I was going to make money. I just thought I'm going to be as good of a bodybuilder right now as I can, and then I'll let everything else work itself out. I have always enjoyed helping others. At the very beginning, right after I graduated high school, I was writing guys that were still in high school that I was friends with, writing them workouts and things like that. I'd researched it enough to do okay with them, and but even throughout high school, I was trying to help people. Guys that I would work out with, underclassmen, I would try to take under my wing and stuff. So that was something I've always desired, to help people in whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be nutrition or kinesiology, fitness, anything like that. It just so happens that those things I have the most knowledge in right now, just due to trying to help myself. And so it just made a lot more sense for me to just go ahead and work with people in this field. So as far as what happened after I did everything I knew to do, as far as gaining weight, I think I gained maybe 20 to 25 pounds in 4 years of high school, and that was just being me and not really trying as hard as I could as far as with gaining weight. In the next 9 months after high school, I gained 27 pounds. So that far exceeded what I thought I could do in that short period of time. But what that did was that ignited a sense of confidence in a plan. And a lot of people don't have confidence in a plan. Mindy has talked over and over about how motivating I am. And I don't think I'm that motivating. I look at motivation, I am very motivated internally. I don't get motivation externally. I try as hard as I can to be out there as far as with social media, but it is hard for me because I don't get anything from the feedback. People that come to me, I try to explain to them, I will work with you, as far as trying to figure out how this means something to you. But if at the end of the day we can't figure out how this means something to you due to how constant it has to be, this isn't going to work. If it just matters to your trainer, or if it just matters, maybe if it matters to your spouse, but if it just matters to your friends, whatever it is, if that's why you're doing it, you're not around them enough for to be able to make the changes and the decisions that you need to be able to make. So you have a lot of I work with a lot of mothers, and they look at this as being a selfish endeavor. They say, I am doing this because or I don't want to take time away from my family. But what they don't realize, just like with competing, there's a lot of negative things with competing. But one of the very positive things is that you get to instill in your children or the people that are watching you goals and sacrifice in reaching those goals. And if you can instill that in your kids, that's probably going to be more important than maybe whatever you planned on, some huge meal you planned on cooking, and now you're not going to be able to because you took 30 more minutes working out or whatever it is. And so, so much of raising kids is the example you set. And so, the things that we do with our bodies and stuff, if you're overweight and your kid sees that you've lost weight or whatever it is, whatever you were trying to do that you've achieved, you now instilled in that child that they can achieve something. They watched you achieve it. They think it's possible. When you sit there and they go, yeah, well, my mother's always been overweight, why is that kid going to believe it's possible? If you've never done anything, why is your child going to believe that anything's possible? So I think a lot of things so we've got motivation, where I believe that you have to figure out how it means something to you. So that's part of it. But then also you need to have confidence in your plan. If you don't have confidence in your plan, it is unlikely. And so what helped me was having success right out of the gate. After formulating a plan, the plan worked. And so now I get energized from making a plan. Most people, the plan isn't the issue. The issue is execution. I was good with execution. I was willing to sacrifice whatever I needed to in order to reach the goal. But it really helped knowing that if I did sacrifice what I needed to sacrifice, that I would reach the goal or I would get the benefit, that my plan would work. So all of that, you've got to figure out how it means something to you. And then you have to find a plan that you believe will work. And the truth is, people come to me and they go, hey, what about Beachbody? What about P90X? All these things. And if you do it, if you execute it, generally all these things you're going to see a benefit from. And if you don't do it, you won't see the benefit. So much of it is execution. Don't wait for the perfect plan. I talk to people that have read more on bodybuilding.com and these various websites, but they don't do anything. And it's like, or with diet. People look at, that's not ideal. Well, ideal. So you couldn't do it, what was ideal until you ate pizza instead or whatever it is. And so that's not the deal, that you're not necessarily looking for what's ideal. You're looking for what's better than what you've been doing, what's the best choice possible in any situation. But all of it works together. The more success you have, the more confidence you have, and whatever it is that you do. It doesn't even have to be physical. I have confidence just due to and Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you listen to any of the things that he's done, he hadn't done anything in bodybuilding really in a very long time. But what he says is that, I had goals in bodybuilding and I achieved those, and everything else just built on that. And that's what he's been doing. He's been doing stuff he shouldn't be able to do for a very long time. Acting with his little acting ability as he has, being a governor, all those things he should not have been able to do, but he had confidence that he could do them due to things in his past working, and he understood how to sacrifice what he needed to get where he needed to be. So as far as going back to me, that's pretty much. I didn't have anybody. I thought there were going to be people that would actually help me along the way. I found out that was not the case. That there weren't going to be any people to help me. Yet I've managed to become pretty successful, and so now with the internet and with different programs and stuff like that, you do have people kind of helping you along, and people that have tried different things. I mean, any kind of program that y'all are going to be on failed in its infancy. That and what that means is that, well, let's try this. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay, so we'll do this. I mean, diets or workouts that are right for people. I once wrote a workout for a couple of guys, and I told them, y'all are my guinea pigs. I don't know if this is going to work, but I changed things as we went along. And so a lot of you are fortunate that you're not doing as much trial and error as the people that were doing went through before you. But so I eventually became successful with very little help in a lot of the areas. But I researched stuff and I tried to figure out what made sense to me. And then, just like I've done with everything else, I put everything that I had into it, and I ended up getting something out of it. So I was telling Mindy earlier that I do not understand how to fix most things in a house. If a plumbing issue occurs, I do not understand really what has happened. But I do know that a plumber can come in and fix it, and it's possible that they can fix that. And it's also possible that person might not even be as intelligent as me. I may be able to figure out how to do it myself. So I think that a lot of stuff's possible. I think a lot of people don't think a lot of stuff is possible for them. And the truth is there's so many things that we are all so. The sad part about it, or the huge cop out, is I can't. And it's like, you can't due to what? You can't due to you've given it all you've got and you failed. No, that's not usually. It's usually I can't because I'm not going to. And if somebody else has done it, I don't understand why you can't as well. And if even somebody hasn't done it, everything else that's been done wasn't done until somebody did it. So why can't that be you? So for a lot of you that, you have family members that are overweight. Well, we're just overweight. Well, have you never met any family that you had the one person that wasn't overweight? Or, have you ever seen a family that no one went to college and yet the one of them, went to Harvard or something like that? I mean, it is possible. You don't have to... you're not limited by everybody else around you, and you're probably not even your biggest limitation is you and what you're willing to do. So a lot of you, are you going to be bikini models? No. Are you going to be in the Olympics? No. Can you be better than you are now? Yes. And how much better? Who knows? A lot of times, a big problem with that I face with talking to people is that they have these long-term goals, and there's nothing wrong with long-term goals. I like the idea of a long-term goal, but a long-term goal is not really anything if you don't have some short-term goals. And usually your long-term goal is such a daunting task, or it's just. I tell people it's a staircase. We've got a 2-mile staircase, and you're focused on the door that's at the top of the 2-mile staircase, and you look up there and you think, well, that's just so far away. And for one, it's so far away that I could start tomorrow and it's not going to make much difference. I could start next week, or I could start January 1st, and it won't make that much difference. But that's somebody that's focused on a long-term goal. I want you to focus on a short-term goal. Focus on taking one step, because you'll never make it to the top if you can't just take one step. And so, everybody needs to focus on being better and moving in the right direction, not necessarily where you're going to end up. Because sometimes you can end up, I had a girl one time that, she said, I never expected to look like I do. She said, this is just, and I looked at her and I said, I didn't either, and I think she was kind of shocked that I didn't believe that this was what she could do, but I knew that she could be better. I was 100% sure that she could be better than she was, and I knew that we could keep getting better. I didn't know what that would lead to. And there's so many people that don't have that curiosity. I have that curiosity. How good can I be in whatever it is, or how much can I give, or how much can I sacrifice? I have that curiosity.
What did you say the other day? You were telling me about if you said there was a battle outside to fight to your death, you'd be curious to...
Well, the thing is that that really was more about a kind of anxiety and things, and that I am energized by a challenge. I talk to people and they talk about being nervous, and I'm rarely nervous. Competing, I'm not nervous. I've never been nervous. I've done various things, taking tests along the way. I was never nervous, no matter how unprepared I was, and that's because there's a fire that's lit in me, because this is a challenge. Because I don't know. It's just like doing this right here. I didn't know how it was going to go, and I don't know how it's going to go. I knew that there was a chance that I could just completely fumble it, and that was exciting to me, just to see how I was going to react. And the same thing with anything else that I've done, taking tests or competing or whatever it is. I am excited by a challenge just to see how things turn out. I don't think, oh man, it could be bad, and I just want to crawl in a shell or something like that. So I think that, and a lot of my bodybuilding and a lot of the test taking and stuff is that the reason that I'm not nervous is because I've followed my plan as best as I can. At that point, there was nothing that I could do to better where I am. And where I am might not be good enough, but there's nothing at this point that I can do that's going to be any better. And so, if it's not good, we go back to the drawing board, try to figure out a plan that is good, and then give everything you got and figure out, if that's going to work. But the whole being nervous before a test, I don't understand that. You've done everything you can. It might not be enough, but let's take the test. Let's see where you are. Maybe you're, and people aren't excited. They're not energized by things as much maybe as I am sometimes, and they feel like backing down and stuff. And so especially starting a new workout program or whatever it is, I would be eager. And it's, with me, I once ran a 5K, and with just the way that I approach things, I told my friend said we were just going to walk his dog. And I said, if we don't walk that dog, I might hurt myself. I wasn't in shape to run it, but you start to have this curiosity of what's the best you can do, and so that's, I just have that, and it's in every walk of life really that I have. I'm curious to know what I could do, what's the possibility, and there's so many people that never know what's the possibility and what they could do because they don't put everything that they have into it. And I'd hate to live wondering how good I could have been at something, and it's okay. And I have, she's talked about successes that I've had, but I feel like I've been unsuccessful in 3 times as many endeavors and whatever it is and things that I've tried. I mean, that there have been some times where I was just not successful at all. I remember driving to Arizona, and it was really tough just to get to Arizona. And if anybody's interested, they can go to my fan page and kind of see some of what I had to go to, what we had to endure to get to the competition. And when I got there, I finished last. And now later on in that year, I qualified for nationals. But there's been definite times where I was unsuccessful. That my success does drive me, but then also just what that curiosity of carrying out the program, of seeing if I do everything I'm supposed to and everything that I know to do, what's possible is something that drives me a lot, and I don't understand why it doesn't drive other people. I don't understand that when many people look at a scale and they go, you know what, I haven't seen the 140s in 10 years. I don't understand why they don't have the curiosity and why that doesn't motivate them to, I don't know, see the 130s. I mean, to me, that would be, it's uncharted territory, and when you're finally in that area, why not? I've got a client that is now 73 years old, but he ran distance in the masters level, so when he was about 21 years old, he also ran, but he didn't train like he did later on in his life. But in his, I think, 40s, his goal was to run as fast as he did when he was 21 years old. And a lot of people would go, you know what, you're too old. Your body is just too old. You're just not as good as you were physically. You'll never be able to do that. That's not a good goal. You should have shot a little bit lower, and then you might even feel a little bit better about yourself because you would achieve that and you can be really good. You just can't compete with that. Well, one day he actually reached those times, and he kept working out, and then eventually he completely smashed any kind of time that he had ever had and became much better in his 40s than he ever was in his 20s. But see, he had that curiosity. I mean, first he did put a limitation on himself to say that I'm just going to get back to here. But once he broke that, he then proved to himself that all these goals can be attained, and that I can be better than who knows how good I can be. So let's ride this out, and I think that I've tried to drive that home many times already. Here is that you don't know, you are your biggest barrier, and that if you can just keep on working and do more than you have done before, that you can reach almost anything, or who knows if it's almost anything, but it'll be more than you have already, and I don't know how else everything's going to
So I think, guys, for you who are coaches, everything that Brent said is something that's pretty universal, but the way you can apply it to your Beachbody business is the fact that so many coaches out there, say in the beginning, I'm not qualified to be a coach. Well, you heard his story. He was underweight. He had to get to a certain weight to be able to be where he's at now. So the thing is, you can rewrite your story at any time, and there is no cookie cutter coach. There is no cookie cutter bodybuilder. You work for it. And the one thing that I talk to coaches all across the United States, outside of our team, is the fact that people say, I'm not seeing the success that so-and-so had, and they've been in the business a year less than me, or I'm not seeing the same success as somebody that joined the team the same as I am. And I always ask people the same type of questions that he asks his clients. Are you giving 100%? And for you as a coach, are you listening to the National Wake Up Call? Are you tuning into the Team Relentless calls? Are you, doing what Brent did on so many levels, being a self-starter and figuring it out? Are you giving your 100%? And your 100% and my 100% and somebody else's 100% is different. Obviously, time-wise, as a full-time coach, I have more time to give 100%. I did my 100% a lot better, I think, when I was working full-time and I had certain time constraints, and it was a part of my plan that I had X amount of time to do this, and it was a challenge. But the thing is, if you're not giving 100%, you can't expect the 100% results. And like he said, he's never had anybody that says, oh yeah, I'm giving 100% and not had results. And there's so many people out there who limit themselves, and the limits exist in your brain. Like, I know that what I'm looking at, what I'm doing, over the last 14 weeks, I'm doing things that I've never done before. But you know what? I'm also not doing things that I've always done before. And there was things that you know, as I'm following the new hammer and chisel workout, I know watching some of these things, you know, when the program was about to release, I thought I could never do that. But you know what? I said the same type of thing that Brent said is I'm going to do my best to get at my 100% by the time this program launches. And when it did, I just went and I went for it, and I'm amazed at what I can do, and it pushes myself to do more. You know, I did plyometrics on day 2 of hammer and chisel, and I rocked it. And you know what? I felt awesome. And you know what? Before, I always said I don't like cardio. I would avoid cardio. I would skip cardio because I didn't like it. And whatever you tell yourself actually becomes. If you hate cardio and you say it over and over and over and over and over again, I hate cardio, you're gonna hate cardio. If you always say, I'm always going to be overweight, my whole family's overweight, or I'm, you know, stupid because, you know, no one in my family went to college and they all think that I'm stupid and it's genetic. You are whatever it is you repeatedly do and tell yourself. And that is so, you know, your mind is so powerful here. And with Brent, like what he said, he thought that he'd have this big support system. He hasn't. And I hear this all the time from coaches who say, I didn't have my coach's support. I don't have a strong upline. Nobody does anything to help me. Well, I was fortunate to have help with my coach, Becky. But when we started the business as coaches, she had no upline support. There was not all of these tools. There was not weekly calls. There was not stuff in the coach online office. But we figured it out together. And like what he said about how the programs went, there was a lot of failure behind the scenes, and people look at me and say, oh, you've been so successful. You can overcome everything. They look at Brent's, you know, how he's placed and his physique and how strong he is, and say, oh, I can never be like you. The thing is, you don't see the things that go on behind the reels, that in order to be successful, there's going to be a lot of failures and a lot of fuck ups. And how you recover from that and how you learn from that sets you apart from the winners and losers. And I don't really like to call people losers, but I feel that you're a loser or a failure only if you limit yourself by not trying. And you have to expect failures. And for me, it's a challenge, you know, and that is such a big deal about having a plan, having goals to check off, having like tracking your weights when you're working out to see. Cause like I'm like, oh, I lifted 20 last time. Let's see if I can do 25. Okay. So 25 is a little bit hard, but then I'm just going to keep pushing harder so that I'm stronger. So next time I can do 25s. And that is the basis in life, is always being better than you were the day before, and learning from your failures and learning from your mistakes, and, you know, not letting other people's, feelings about you dictate what you do. Like he said about the man that's 70 years old who had this goal, and people said, oh, you can't do that. And so many people say, oh, I can't do this because my spouse doesn't support me, or my family doesn't support me, or I have all these haters, and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes your haters are just evil people who've not reached their goals, and they truly believe that nobody else can. But sometimes if it does come from family, I will say that it is their way of just, they don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see you set up for failure, because a lot of times it hurts them because it reminds them of their failure. But the biggest thing is, see it as a challenge. And the thing is, you can do it. If you give 100%, if you do the same things consistently, you will see success. It may be a small success, but that's what's going to keep you going. And I'm telling you, people have said this about me over the last 4 years, like, oh, she thinks she can do anything. She thinks she's better than everybody. I don't think I am. But the thing is, I have become to realize that I can do anything I set my mind to. It may take me longer than somebody else, because like Brent told me earlier when we were talking, there's always going to be somebody stronger than you or better than you. And there's people going to be behind you. And I can't focus on that. All I can focus on is myself. And as somebody on a journey for health and fitness or weight loss, you have to do that. If you're a coach, you have to do that. If you're so busy looking at making sure all the stars are aligned, and that, you know, oh God, I'm not doing what this person's doing. Their graphics on social media are so much better, or they're recruiting more coaches, or they have a better transformation. You're never going to go anywhere.
Well, and you know, something that she touched on a couple of times is that, you know, a lot of the people that I work with, they are very aware of where they are, how much they've done, and then how much everyone else around them appears to have given to whatever they're doing and their results. And I try to explain to people that, you know, well, for one, I don't understand why it matters. Just like people that I compete against, what they had to go through to be here, if it was less than me or if it was more than me, doesn't matter. Whatever I had to deal with whatever it is that I had to deal with, that too doesn't matter. What I'm trying to do is I keep blinders on. It doesn't matter what my competition is doing. It doesn't matter how much your friend lost in some program or anything. That's not going to change how much you lost or how much you can or whatever. If you're going to compete with Mindy, I would say try to compete with her effort. Try to work harder than her. Try to sacrifice more than her. Try to be more precise in some of the things that she does. Don't necessarily look at it as the results that she gets. Because positive or negative, her results don't matter to you. And they shouldn't matter to you. But so often, another thing is that people, like I said, they're very aware of what they'll tell me, I should have seen more results for sacrificing this, this, and this. And they keep a great inventory of what they do or what they've cut out of their life. What they don't do such a good inventory of, or keep a good inventory of what they did to negatively affect their goal. So they don't tell me, I really did pretty well considering that on the weekends I just pretty much eat whatever I want to and don't work out ever. And you go, well, how many days is the weekend? Well, it starts on Friday. So it's like, so almost half the time you have been off of moving towards your plan, moving towards whatever it is. And so, that's why then it feels like, well, I have sacrificed this and I haven't seen these results. It's true, you did sacrifice this and you're not seeing these results, but you're also working against your goal. Another thing that she talked about, and then I kind of talked about, but they weren't necessarily put together, is that people that look at you and say, well, you can't do this. I worked with a girl that her family said, look, we're just big bone. That's the kind of people we are. And once she lost weight, it's like, no, you've got tiny bones. But what was her mother trying to convince her of? Actually, her mother wasn't trying to convince her of anything. She was trying to convince herself that no matter how much work I could put in, I couldn't get the results that you seem to be aiming for. And so if I can make sure that you don't achieve those goals, then it doesn't mean that I underachieved or underworked, I guess. These were just my limitations. So people are really afraid that they were capable of doing whatever it is. And so they want to make sure that you can't achieve or that you don't achieve whatever it is that you're shooting for, because then they won't feel so bad about not even trying.
That's the self-sabotagers out there who will sabotage your success to make them feel better. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it is your loved ones. And that's why what Brent said, you have to find why this is important to you. Because it doesn't matter if it's important to your spouse. It doesn't matter if it's important to your coach or your trainer. It has to be important to you. And that's one thing as coaches, we talk about our why. You have to have some compelling reason why this makes sense to you and why you want to do this. Because you can't do it to make your husband proud or, my 40th birthday is coming up, because those are just things that happen. It has to be something deeply rooted in you. For me, as a parent, I did it because I wanted to set the example for my kids. And that's one thing that I did want to reiterate too, I forgot about, was that people think it's selfish. Like, I don't want to do this because, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? Me coming out of the mental health facility in August taught me to focus on myself. I don't feel that I'm selfish, and I feel zero guilt for what I do. Because you know what? I've been consistent, and every day since Rebel's been coming home this last week, he has wanted to work out. He's wanted to do a video. You know what? I want him to be a badass. I want him to know that he can do whatever he wants. I want him to know that this is for him. I did this all for him so that I am better every day, and so that he doesn't grow up like I did with people who just gave up. He knows he can do anything. My children have high self-esteem because I have taught them now, not when they were children, because I'm not the same person, but they don't have people picking on them. They don't put up with anything. And you know what? It's because I felt invincible, even though I know people are better than me out there, but I feel invincible, and I've taught them that self-esteem, and they will never go through what I went through. Doesn't mean that they will not go through struggle, but this is so important. So if you are a parent out there, it's not selfish. You are going to feel better. You're going to be setting an example. My kids want to eat healthy. My stepkids want to eat healthy. So these things are very important. If you can't take care of yourself, you are going to be a mediocre parent. And like he said, you're teaching your children goal setting and how amazing it is when you accomplish a goal, and that they can do anything, and that health and fitness is important, or whatever goal it is that you're doing. And this is the thing, is that, focus on it. And if your spouse or your family members, your coworkers, your best friend don't support you, then you know what? Prove them wrong. Because you know what? They've tried it probably and it didn't work for them, and they don't want to see you succeed, or they don't want to see you set up for failure because they don't think that there's an answer. Show them the way. Make them join you on the journey, whatever it is, and live a life outside of limitations and be free and live relentlessly. How do you deal with haters? Brent gets lots of haters. I'll just say this, that a lot of people, when Guy stepped on stage on the Beachbody scene, a lot of people are like, oh, he's one of those bodybuilding people who are just so stupid. And that is unfortunately a bad rap. And we as Beachbody coaches get a bad rap that, are the people just selling the shake shit. So the thing is, everybody has their own little box that people put him in, and stereotypes. But I will say Brent is one of the most intelligent people I know, and with the biggest heart, but he's very misunderstood because he is pretty quiet. He has a dry sense of humor, but he is the most caring person that I know, and he really does his job well and educates you at the same time. But he's had a lot of adversity just as much as I have, because we both are very blunt and open. So how do you deal with haters?
Well, I mean, the thing is I really don't. I mean, I don't care. I mean, their opinions, other people's opinion, their opinions just don't matter to me. I fail to understand how that their opinion should matter. So often when I talk to people, and they tell me about the negative opinions of people that don't like them, and about how that affects them so greatly. And I ask them if those people should be an authority on you, and whether you're likable or the choices that you make in life. And it just makes no sense that someone that's a near enemy, that you're going to put so much into what they think about you. I would much more be on board for you picking somebody that means a lot to you and that you respect a lot, and you go, hey, what do you feel about me? Whether it's a teacher that you had throughout school that you actually excelled in that class, or whatever it may be, someone that you worked with, or something, or it could even be your spouse, whatever. And it could even be your kids. But shouldn't those people's opinion matter of you a little bit more than some jealous girl that works down at wherever it is and has never achieved anything, or maybe she has achieved something but really doesn't, for some reason, just doesn't like you. And it's like, how does it even make sense that person's opinion should matter? Like, why? I just don't understand, and picking the most negative force in your life and going, tell me your opinions, and then I'll adopt them. That just doesn't, I don't understand why those people are an authority. As far as with my physique, I say that almost no opinions matter, but truly the people that judge me, those people, their opinions matter greatly. What they think of my physique and stuff like that. And so if one of them comes up to me and says, I really like this, or I've had a guy come up to me and go, you know what? And this was very early on. He said, you can turn pro. You just have to, you got to keep getting bigger, but you can do that. And that right there, that fueled me, because that's somebody that I do respect their opinion. Their opinion does matter. And that right there, when I'm thinking, man, this is a tough road, or whatever it is, that I don't want to keep doing this, or whatever, this is uncomfortable. Well, that guy thinks I can do it, and his opinion, like, it should matter. Like, that's his deal. Like, he's the person that's actually going to propel me into the next level. So, pick people that their opinions should matter, And if you are going to pick an opinion to adopt, don't pick the people that it makes no sense that they should. Why pick somebody that hates you? Why pick someone who hates Mustangs and go, which Mustang should I buy? Like, it makes no sense. Like, they're not on board. Like, and so, so often though, we try to win people over, and we try to win the people over that we don't already have, instead of focusing on the people that already on board and trying to make sure that they continue to be proud of us. And that just seems so much more positive to me, to focus on those people that are pulling for you, as opposed to those people that are aiming for you or desire greatly for you to fail. I told Mindy not too long ago that the list of people who want to see me fail and everything is great. The list of people who want to see me succeed is a small, crazy little sect of the population. And when I'm doing things that aren't comfortable, and when I'm sacrificing stuff, I've got those people in mind much more than the people that want to see me fail. That I would much rather, when I am not successful, I think about the people who want me to be successful. And how much that, and I'm thinking about retooling or reworking a plan. I've a lot of times have those people in my mind, at least to some extent, because I want to prove them right. I want to say, you know what, you were right for believing in me. I have very little desire to show somebody that they should have believed in me. When I wrote those people off a long time ago. They're like I said, their opinions don't matter. So, that's something that I think that I guess all of you should do, is really evaluate whose opinions should matter, because there's a lot of people that are going to have opinions. I mean, there's people that as you lose weight will say, well, I liked you better at the other weight. Or, whatever it may be, people are going to have an opinion. And sometimes people are going to have an opinion that, people have an opinion of me. I was talking to a girl that I helped compete, and she was telling me about the feedback she was getting and about how odd the feedback was, and how in some ways it was offensive, the feedback she was getting. And I tried to explain to her, people don't know what's going on. They're just not a good judge, a lot of them, of if you tell them what you've been doing, they'll convince themselves one way or another. So if you told somebody that you've started doing 15 push-ups 4 times a day, they go, well, I can tell because your shoulders are really getting big, and that's manly, and that's not attractive. And or you can have somebody that goes, you know what, I really noticed that, or whatever. But overall, if I wear a sleeveless shirt, somebody will say, well, man, your arms sure are getting big. It's like, no. I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt, and you haven't seen me wear a sleeveless shirt. So, what I'm trying to explain, I guess, over and over here is that put worth or value in people's opinions that should matter, and people's opinions that shouldn't matter. Don't lose any sleep at all over that. It makes no sense. It is not logical to pick negative people or people that want to see you fail and adopt their views of you. It's retarded.
There's the saying that says a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of a sheep, and that's one thing that Vito Lafata, who's a superstar diamond coach, talked about at leadership, was that he's seen a lot of negative feedback, and one was from his sister, and he started looking at her, and he's like, what authority are you to me? He was like, you're always a negative, you've had a lot of issues, so your opinion doesn't matter. Not that he doesn't love her, doesn't care about her, and it's just the way it is. Like Brent had told me a couple weeks ago, he's like, your amount of people supporting you is way higher than what I have. And he's like, I don't allow that. And a lot has to do with, number one, your mindset and your personality. For me, I always have to be right. That's just the type of personality. And if you're a Beachbody coach, you've probably done the personality tests, Color Code or Danny Johnson's, and that's my personality. So for me, even if I have half the Team Beachbody community, which is in the thousands and thousands of coaches supporting me, if that one person says, you suck, you're this and that, you know what? Whenever I want to die in my workout, I'm going to jump a little bit higher doing plyo. When Brent's having one of those days and there's all these people who say, we hope you fail, you get what you deserve, blah, blah, blah. He's thinking about the people that have sent him texts or given him great feedback and that have been there. So it just depends on your mindset. But I do feel that a lot of people use, their family or the negativity as a scapegoat and a way to self-sabotage their own success. So the thing is, you have to be honest with yourself. Do these people really matter? And why am I allowing them to take up so much space in my head? So anyways, we're right on an hour, and I always try to keep it to an hour, but definitely find Brent and like his fan page. I put it in the event invite in Facebook, or you can find him on Facebook under Brent Sager. He is full of amazing wealth, and I'm so glad he's my friend and so glad that he's here to help talk to us and everybody here on Periscope. So be sure to look him up, and thank you for tuning in. Next Tuesday is next week's call. If you have any questions, let us know.